When life throws challenges at you, it is natural to feel like you are being tested in ways you were never prepared for. You question why it had to happen to you, why it had to happen now, and why it feels so hard to keep moving forward. But here is something to remember. Staying strong is not about pretending you are unaffected. It is not about smiling through pain or ignoring the struggle. Staying strong is about acknowledging the weight, feeling it fully, and still deciding you will not be crushed by it. Strength is built in the moments when you are convinced you have nothing left to give, yet you take one more step. It is built in the tears that fall quietly at night, followed by the decision to get up again in the morning. It is built in the choice to stand your ground when everything around you is trying to knock you off balance. Staying strong does not mean you never break down. It means you do not allow the breakdown to be the end of your story. Think about the times in your life where you thought you would not survive something. Maybe it was heartbreak, maybe it was loss, maybe it was failure. And yet here you are, stronger, wiser, and more resilient than you thought possible. That is the proof you need. That is the reminder that you are capable of carrying more than you realize. Staying strong is not just about enduring the storm. It is about trusting that storms do not last forever. People who stay strong are not superhuman. They simply refuse to give their struggle the final say. They understand that strength is not about being invincible, but about being unshakable in their determination. You may feel like you are bending under the weight, but bending is not breaking. You can bend, you can sway, you can stumble, and still find your footing again. The truth is, staying strong is less about the outside world and more about the voice inside your head. What you tell yourself in those quiet, lonely moments matters. Do you tell yourself you cannot handle it? Or do you remind yourself that you have handled the impossible before? Every time you choose the latter, you fuel the strength that carries you forward. Life will keep testing you, and every test is an invitation to grow into someone stronger, someone braver, someone who can stand tall even when the ground shakes beneath them. So when the world feels heavy, remind yourself, you are heavier, you are stronger. You are more resilient than the struggle itself. Staying strong is not just what you do, it is who you decide to be. So often, people mistake strength for a mask. They think that staying strong means keeping a straight face when your heart is breaking. They think it means bottling up emotions, swallowing tears, and acting like nothing can touch you. But that is not real strength. That is performance. And performance is exhausting. Because you are pretending to carry something that feels unbearable without ever admitting it weighs you down. True strength is not about denying pain. It is about acknowledging it fully and still choosing to move forward in spite of it. Think about it. When you go through heartbreak, loss, rejection, or failure, the instinct many of us have is to push the feelings down, to hide them, to cover them up with distractions. You tell yourself, I am fine, when in reality, you are anything but fine. But real strength is the courage to say, I am not okay right now, but I will not let this moment define me forever. Facing the pain is what gives you the power to heal it. Ignoring it only traps you in it. You see, strength has nothing to do with how tough you look on the outside, and everything to do with how honest you are on the inside. When you admit to yourself that you are hurting, you give yourself permission to heal. And healing does not mean the pain disappears overnight. Healing means you learn to carry it differently. It stops being a weight that crushes you, and it becomes a reminder of how much you have endured. Real strength is found in the small, quiet choices you make when nobody is watching. It is in the moment you wipe your tears, take a deep breath, and decide to face the day anyway. It is in the moment you get up after a sleepless night and still show up for your responsibilities. It is in the moment you choose to keep loving even after you have been hurt. That is strength, not pretending the hurt does not exist, but refusing to let it close your heart. The people who inspire us most are not the ones who never struggle, but the ones who let their struggles shape them into something greater. They did not get there by being immune to pain. They got there because they felt the pain deeply and still chose to rise. Staying strong is not about shutting down your feelings. It is about letting them teach you resilience. And here is the thing, facing your pain does not make you weak. It makes you braver than most people, because most people spend their entire lives running from pain, hiding from it, avoiding it at all costs. But when you look pain in the eye and say, you will not break me, you become unshakable. not because you are unscarred, but because you are unafraid of the scars. So the next time life hurts, and it will, because that is the nature of life, do not feel pressured to act like it does not affect you. Do not feel ashamed for feeling deeply. Instead, embrace the truth of your emotions and then ask yourself, what is the next step forward I can take? That step does not have to be dramatic. It could be as simple as getting out of bed, making yourself a meal, going for a walk, calling a friend. Every small act of movement is an act of strength. Staying strong is not a grand gesture. It is a series of choices. Choices to face reality, goyality. Choices to keep moving forward. Choices to believe that your story does not end in pain. And every time you choose courage over denial, honesty over pretending, and movement over paralysis, you embody what it really means to stay strong. There comes a point in every difficult journey where you feel completely drained. You have tried, you have pushed, you have given everything you thought you could, and yet the problem still stands in front of you. It feels like climbing a mountain where every step is heavier than the last, and you wonder if you can possibly make it another inch higher. That is the moment most people want to stop. That is the moment where the voice in your head whispers, "You cannot go on. You have nothing left. You have nothing left." But that exact moment, when you feel empty, when you feel finished, when you feel done, is where strength is born. Because when you take one more step, even with nothing left, you discover a part of yourself you never knew existed. Think about the times in your life where you thought, "I cannot handle this anymore." Maybe it was in the middle of heartbreak, when every morning felt like a battle just to get out of bed. Maybe it was during a time when you worked so hard for something and kept facing rejection after rejection after rejection. Maybe it was when life knocked you down so hard you felt like you had lost all direction. And yet, even in those moments, you somehow found the courage to take one more breath, one more step, one more attempt. And that choice, that tiny act of movement, is where resilience begins. Is where resilience begins. You see, strength does not reveal itself when everything is going your way. Anybody can feel strong when life is easy. Strength shows itself in the messy middle. When your energy is gone, your hope is thin, and quitting feels easy. In that fragile, exhausting place, the decision to move forward becomes the foundation of who you are. You prove to yourself that you are more than your tiredness, more than your setbacks, more than your pain. It is easy to believe that strength is something you either have or you do not, like a trait some people are born with. But the truth is, strength is something you build, moment by moment, choice by choice, Because deep down, you already know. You have survived before, and you will survive again. And here is the truth. Life is not done testing you. There will be more struggles, more heartbreaks, more setbacks ahead. But when you face them, you can remind yourself of the track record you already have. You have been in dark places before and found your way out. You have been knocked down before and found the strength to rise again. If you did it once, you can do it again. That is the mindset that allows you to stay strong, not because life is easy, but because you know you are capable of surviving what feels impossible. The next time you doubt yourself, remember the battles you have already fought. Remember the nights you cried yourself to sleep, only to wake up the next morning and keep going anyway. Remember the disappointments that felt unbearable, yet somehow you learned to bear them. Remember the fear you thought would paralyze you, yet you took action anyway. Those moments are not just part of your past. They are reminders of your power. So instead of telling yourself, "I cannot do this," start reminding yourself, "I have done this before." Maybe not this exact challenge, but something just as heavy, just as painful, just as overwhelming. And I made it through. That is not weakness. That is evidence of resilience. That is living proof of strength. You may not always feel strong, but feelings are not facts. The fact is, you are still here. And that means every single struggle you have faced so far has already lost. You outlasted it. You rose above it. And you will do it again. That is the truth about you. You are stronger than you realize. We often have this idea in our heads that strength means never stumbling. That the people we admire, the people we look up to, somehow glide through life without making mistakes, without failing, without falling apart. But that is not true. Every strong person you know has fallen, sometimes harder than you can imagine. The difference is not that they avoided falling. The difference is that they refused to let those falls define who they are. Falling is a part of being human. You will fail. You will get hurt. You will face rejection, disappointment, and moments where you feel like you cannot keep going. To expect otherwise is to expect the impossible. Life was never meant to be a straight line of victories. It was always meant to be a journey of highs and lows, of rises and falls. So strength does not come from pretending you will never fall. Strength comes from what you do after you hit the ground. The ground. That's it. Some people let their falls become their identity. They fail at something once and say, I am a failure. They get rejected and say, I am unlovable. They make a mistake and say, this is who I am now. But falling is an event. It is not a definition. What defines you is not the fall itself, but the choice you make afterwards. Do you stay down, or do you rise again? Do you let the failure close your heart, or do you open it again with courage? That is what determines the strength of a person. Think about it. A child learning to walk will fall countless times. Nobody would look at that child and say, you fell, so you are not meant to walk. No. We understand that falling is part of the process of learning, of growing stronger, of finding balance. The same is true in life. Every fall teaches you something. Every mistake reveals a lesson. Every failure becomes an opportunity to grow. But you only gain that growth if you refuse to let the fall become your permanent identity. The most inspiring people are not the ones who never fell. They are the ones who fell 1,000 times, but rose 1,001. They did not let the fall become the final chapter of their story. Instead, they used it as the turning point. They used it as proof that even when you collapse under the weight of life, you can rise again stronger, wiser, more resilient than before. And here is something important. Falling does not erase your strength. It reveals it. Because when you hit the ground, when you are embarrassed, when you are hurting, when you feel like you have failed beyond repair, that is the moment you discover what you are really made of. It takes no strength to stay confident when you have never stumbled, but it takes tremendous strength to fall flat on your face and still find the courage to stand again. The truth is, staying strong has nothing to do with being perfect. It has everything to do with being relentless. You are not defined by how many times you fall, but by how many times you choose to rise. You are not defined by your setbacks, but by your comebacks. You are not defined by the labels others give you in your lowest moments, but by the determination you show in rewriting your own story. So the next time you fall, and you will, do not waste your energy asking, why me? Ask yourself, what now? What can I learn from this? How can I grow from this? What step can I take to rise again? That is how you transform a fall into a foundation. That is how you build strength from weakness. That is how you remind yourself that no matter how many times life knocks you down, you will never be defined by the fall. You will always be defined by your rise. When most people imagine strength, they picture someone who is unbreakable, untouchable, and immune to pain. Someone who never doubts, never cries, never feels fear. But that image is a myth. Real strength has never been about being invincible. Invincibility is not human. It is a fantasy. True strength lies in determination, in the refusal to quit, even when you are vulnerable, even when you are hurting, even when the odds are stacked against you. Think about it. Being strong does not mean you never fall apart. It means when you fall apart, you keep showing up anyway. It means that even with tears in your eyes, you still take the next step. It means that even when fear shakes your hands, you still reach for what matters to you. That is what makes someone powerful. Not the absence of struggle, but the decision to keep going despite it. There is a quiet, unshakable determination in people who are truly strong. They do not brag about being invincible. They do not pretend that nothing affects them. Instead, they acknowledge the challenges honestly, but they do not let those challenges stop them. Stop them. They might bend under the pressure, but they will not break. They might stumble, but they will not surrender. That is the kind of strength that builds resilience. It is not about perfection. It is about persistence. And here is the truth. Life will test you again and again. You will face setbacks, heartbreaks, betrayals, disappointments, and moments that shake your confidence to its core. If strength were about being invincible, you would fail instantly, because none of us can dodge those experiences. But when strength is defined by determination, suddenly the game changes. Because no matter how many times you are knocked down, your determination can bring you back to your feet. No matter how many times you feel weak, your determination can push you one step further. It is determination that separates those who give up from those who create breakthroughs. Determination is what makes someone train after repeated failures, apply again after countless rejections, love again after heartbreak, and trust again after betrayal. Real. Determination is the engine that carries you through the moments where everything in you screams to quit. And that is where real strength is born, not in avoiding the battle, but in refusing to walk away from it. Consider the people you admire most. They are not the ones who had an easy road untouched by hardship. They are the ones who carried wounds, who faced storms, who doubted themselves but pressed on anyway. They were not invincible, but they were determined. They made a choice to keep going, even when every reason told them to stop. That is why we admire them. That is why they inspire us. The beauty of this truth is that determination is available to anyone. You do not need to be perfect. You do not need to be fearless. You do not need to be unshakable in your emotions. You only need to be unshakable in your decision. You need to decide, and no matter how many times I fall, I will get back up. No matter how long it takes, I will keep trying. No matter how heavy it feels, I will keep carrying it until I find a way through. That decision, that unshakable determination, is the real definition of strength. So the next time you feel weak, remind yourself that weakness does not disqualify you. Fear does not disqualify you. Fear does not disqualify you. Mistakes do not disqualify you. You are not strong because you are invincible. You are strong because you refuse to surrender. You are strong because you keep getting back up. You are strong because your determination is bigger than your doubt. And as long as that determination burns inside you, no setback, no rejection, and no failure has the power to defeat you. Every day, you carry a conversation with yourself. Most of it happens quietly, so quietly that you barely notice it. But that voice inside your head, the one that comments on everything you do, everything you feel, everything you attempt, has the power to either build you up or break you down. It can weaken you to the point where you believe you are incapable, or it can empower you to rise above challenges that once seemed impossible. That inner voice is not just background noise. It is the foundation of your strength. Think about the last time you faced something difficult. Maybe you were about to give a presentation. Maybe you were going through heartbreak. Maybe you were trying to achieve a goal that felt out of reach. What did your inner voice say to you? Did it whisper, "You cannot do this. You are not enough. Why even try? Why even try?" Or did it encourage you with, "This will be tough, but you have faced tough things before. You can do this"? That difference, those few words, can shape the entire outcome, because the story you tell yourself becomes the reality you live. Many people believe that strength comes only from external things, from other people, from achievements, from recognition. But the truth is, strength starts internally. You could have every advantage in the world, but if your inner voice constantly tears you down, you will struggle to move forward. Loathe forward. On the other hand, even if the world doubts you, if your inner voice encourages you, you will find a way to keep going. That is the power of self-talk. It determines whether you crumble under pressure or rise through it. And here is something we do not often realize. Your inner voice is learned. Nobody is born telling themselves they are not enough. Somewhere along the way, you absorb those messages from past failures, from criticism, from comparison, from rejection. But just as those words were learned, they can be unlearned. You have the ability to retrain that voice to choose words that build resilience instead of destruction. It does not happen overnight, but it begins with awareness. The moment you notice your inner voice tearing you down, you can interrupt it and ask, is this the truth, or is this fear speaking? That pause is where transformation begins. Resilient people are not the ones who never feel doubt. They are the ones who respond differently to that doubt. When their inner voice whispers, "You cannot," they answer back, "Watch me." When their voice says, "You are not strong enough," they remind themselves of all the times they already proved their strength. They deliberately choose language that empowers because they know every word they repeat becomes a belief, and every belief shapes an action. Imagine facing a setback and telling yourself, "This always happens to me. I will never succeed." Where does that leave you? Stuck, powerless, defeated. Now imagine facing that same setback and telling yourself, "This is hard, but it is part of the process. I will find a way through." Which mindset is going to carry you forward? The circumstances are the same, but the story you tell yourself changes everything. Changes everything. This is why it is so important to take responsibility for your self-talk. Do not let your inner voice run wild and unchecked. Guide it, direct it, choose words intentionally. Speak to yourself like you would to a friend you love. You would never tell someone you care about, you are worthless. You cannot do this. You should give up. So why say it to yourself? Instead, remind yourself daily, I am capable. I am resilient. I have overcome before, and I can overcome again. Strength is not just about muscles or endurance. It is about mindset. And mindset begins with words. If you want to stay strong, feed yourself with language that gives you power. Feed yourself with words that remind you of your worth, your resilience, and your ability to rise. Because the voice inside your head will always be with you. And if you train it to be your ally instead of your enemy, you will discover that you are far stronger than you ever imagined. When life throws challenges your way, it can feel like the world is against you. It can feel like the pain, the setback, the rejection, or the heartbreak is a sign that you are finished, that this is the end of your strength, the end of your fight, the end of your story. But the truth is, every challenge you face is not the end of you. It is the training ground for a stronger, wiser, more resilient version of yourself. Think about how strength is built in the physical world. A muscle only grows when it is put under pressure. It is through resistance, through strain, through being pushed beyond comfort, that strength is developed. Life works in exactly the same way. Every challenge you face is resistance training for your spirit. It might hurt. It might exhaust you. It might stretch you to your limits. But each time you face resistance and refuse to give in, you grow stronger in ways you cannot see immediately. The problem is, most of us see challenges as punishments instead of opportunities. We ask, why is this happening to me? And when a better question might be, what is this teaching me? Because challenges are not designed to end you. They are designed to shape you. They shape your patience, your courage, your persistence, your compassion. They teach you lessons that comfort never could. And once you start seeing challenges as a training ground, you stop running from them and start using them to build yourself. Think back to a time you faced something that at first felt unbearable. Maybe you lost something you thought you could not live without. Maybe you failed at something you poured your whole heart into. At that time, it felt like the end. But looking back now, can you see how that very experience built you? Can you see how it toughened you, how it gave you perspective, how it forced you to discover parts of yourself you would never have found otherwise? That is the hidden gift of challenges. They reveal strength you did not even know you had. And this is important. Strength is not just about surviving. It is about evolving. When you go through a challenge, you are not meant to come out the same person you were before. You are meant to come out wiser, sharper, more capable. Each hardship leaves behind something valuable, whether it is resilience, empathy, perspective, or grit. But you only collect those rewards if you choose to see challenges as training rather than torture. The strongest people you admire today are not strong because they had easy lives. They are strong because life trained them through hardship. Every disappointment, every loss, every painful season, they all became lessons, weights they lifted, battles they fought, scars that made them wiser. If they had been shielded from challenges, they would not carry the depth, the resilience, or the power they have today. So when you are facing your own battles, do not tell yourself, this is the end of me. Tell yourself, this is shaping me. Remind yourself that the pain you feel today will become the strength you rely on tomorrow. Remind yourself that life is not tearing you apart. It is building you piece by piece into someone who can handle more, someone who can rise higher, someone who can rise higher, someone who can inspire others. The key is perspective. Challenges feel unbearable when you see them as a wall blocking your path, but when you see them as stepping stones, as weights in the gym of life, they suddenly have a purpose. They are not there to stop you. They are there to strengthen you. And the stronger you become, the more unstoppable you are. So the next time life pushes you to your limits, remember, this is not the end. This is training. This is preparation. This is resistance designed to reveal the power inside you. Every challenge you face is not proof of your weakness, but proof that you are being shaped into the stronger version of yourself you are meant to become. Staying strong is not a single act. It is not one big heroic moment where you prove to the world you can handle anything. Strength is not something you switch on when life gets tough and then forget about when everything is fine. Real strength is a decision you make every single day. It is not just what you do, it becomes who you are. Every morning you wake up, you are faced with a choice. choice. You can let fear, doubt, and negativity decide how your day will go, or you can decide to meet life with courage, persistence, and resilience. You cannot always control what happens around you. You cannot control whether people will treat you fairly, whether circumstances will go in your favor, or whether setbacks will show up at your door. But you can control how you respond. That response is the daily decision to stay strong. But it is easy to think of strength as something dramatic, lifting yourself up after a huge failure, pushing through heartbreak, or fighting back from loss. And yes, those moments reveal strength, but the truth is, most strength is built in the small, ordinary moments that nobody notices. It is built when you choose not to give up on a dream, even after years of struggle. It is built when you choose to get out of bed, on a day when your heart feels heavy. It is built when you choose kindness, even when life has been cruel to you. Those little choices are the daily practice of strength, And here is the beauty of it. When you consistently choose to be strong in the small things, you create an identity that cannot be shaken in the big things. You stop seeing yourself as someone who occasionally rises to challenges, and you start seeing yourself as a strong person. Period. D. Strength stops being an act, and it becomes your nature. It becomes part of who you are. That is why some people seem unbreakable. It is not because their lives are easy, but because they have built the habit of strength into their daily identity. When something tough happens, they do not panic, because staying strong is not new to them. It is who they already are. They have trained themselves to respond with resilience, to see solutions instead of problems, to rise instead of collapse. And you can build that same identity for yourself. The shift begins the moment you stop saying, I will try to be strong when things get hard, and start saying, I am a strong person. No matter what happens. Notice the difference. One is reactive. You are waiting for challenges to test you. The other is proactive. You decide in advance that strength is part of who you are. And once you adopt that identity, your actions naturally follow. Of course, staying strong does not mean you never feel pain. It does not mean you never cry, never doubt, never question. It means that even when those emotions come, and they will, you do not let them control your story. You still show up. You still take the next step. You still choose courage over collapse. That choice, repeated every day, is what makes strength your identity. So ask yourself, who do you want to be today? Do you want to be someone who lets circumstances define you, or someone who defines yourself by your resilience? Do you want to be someone who waits for strength to appear, or someone who embodies strength every single day? The answer lies in your choices. Staying strong is not just what you do when the spotlight is on. It is who you decide to be in the quiet moments, in the everyday struggles, in the challenges no one else sees. And when you make that decision daily, strength is no longer something you reach for. It is something you carry within you. Staying strong has never been about pretending life is easy or that you are untouched by pain. It is about facing the storm, feeling the weight, and still choosing to rise. You have already survived what you thought would break you. You have already proved that your strength is greater than your fear. And from this moment on, you get to decide every day who you are going to be. Not someone defined by fools, not someone crushed by challenges, but someone who uses every struggle as fuel to grow stronger. Strength is not in the absence of hardship. Strength is in the choice to keep going, to keep believing, and to keep becoming the best version of yourself, no matter what stands in your way. Stay strong, not just for today, but for every day you choose to live your story with courage.